we got one against Etatsu from Maryland. This was an hour and a half long, so I had to speed it up times 6, and it still is like only like a second from underneath 10 minutes. So anyways, he switches to from his Resolve to Skarmory. I switch from my anti-palm to my Gyarados. He spikes. I Dragon Dance, or never mind, I taunt in case he decided to stay in and spike, and I decide to switch out to Glysaur because he probably has Thunderbolt. It doesn't affect. I go ahead and I knock off whatever he has. He Psychics me, does a lot, almost KO'd. I switch to Bronzong, so he Psychics again, 4 times resistance. He Flamethrowers. I Light Screen, so his special attacks do half as much. And I have Light Clay, so Light Screen will last 8 turns instead of 5. I switch to Ambipom. He Flamethrowers and doesn't do like that much, so whatever. He switches back to Skarmory. I U-turn because I knew whether he switched or he stayed in, that was the safest move. So I switched back to Gyarados, Intimidate. I Dragon Dance. He Whirlwinds me back to my Ambipom. I go ahead and I Fake Out because there's really nothing else I can do. And Ambipom is just getting weaker and weaker. So I switched out to Blissey. He Whirlwinds me to Spiritomb, and at this point I'm just like, wow, no matter what I do, he's gonna Whirlwind me. So I'm just gonna stick with Spiritomb because I'm just tired of getting hit by spikes and whatever. So I Hypnosis, and he Toxics me. I switch to Gyarados because he's asleep. He can't Whirlwind me. Um, he switches to his Elf. I knew he was gonna, so I Dragon Danced. So now I'm probably faster, and I don't know if I can KO though. I Waterfall. It KOs. Sorry. So I'm faster, stronger than anything he has now. He's asleep, so I'm thinking of what to do. I go ahead and I taunt, so he can't do anything. So he switches out again, and I Dragon Dance, so that cancels out the Intimidate. I Ice Fang, and Salamence goes down. Alright, so he goes to Togekiss. I go ahead and I Ice Fang again, and it didn't KO, did about half. He Thunder Waves me, because he has to be faster to get the flinch off Air Slash, and he gets a flinch, and then he does another one and he misses. I Ice Fang, he lives with 1 HP, he Air Slashes again, I flinch, so I flinch twice. He roosts up, and I Waterfall this time, because I'm scared it'll miss, and I get a critical hit, so that balanced out the flinches. So he sends out Blissey, and at this point I'm like, I'm basically dead, so whatever. I go ahead and I just Waterfall. I probably should have switched out. I mean, Gyarados is too valuable to have sacrificed like that. So I send out Ambipom, and he sends out Skarmory, and I Fake Out, Ambipom goes down. Skarmory's still asleep, so I go ahead and I decide the safest thing would be Spiritomb, because he switched out when I taunted. So I go ahead and I taunt again. He Whirlwinds. He can't do that after the taunt, and I'm not sure whether it's an attacking Skarmory at this point, but I don't know, whatever. I Hypnosis, so his Hitmontop is asleep. I go ahead and stay in. I Sucker Punch. He switches out to Blissey. He Soft Boils up. I go ahead and taunt, but I'm too slow to stop the Soft Boil. He goes ahead and switches out to Skarmory. I Paint Split, and what does he do? He spikes, and I taunt, and he switches out. So at this point I'm starting to guess that it's a non-attacking Skarmory because he didn't Brave Bird or anything. I Paint Split to him on top. Poison's doing a fair amount. I'm not going to switch out though. I Paint Split again. I refuse to switch out because, I don't know, I just didn't want to keep switching out and keep getting hit by spikes. So I think he spikes again. I'm dead, so I basically have to keep Paint Splitting. He roosts up, so at this point I'm 100% sure that it's a non-attacking Skarmory because he didn't kill me. He's just roosting up waiting for the poison to kill me, and I'm doing the same thing because I don't want to switch out just so that he can Whirlwind me and I get hit by spikes again. So he's roosting, I'm Paint Splitting, and we're both just kind of waiting for my Spiritomb to die. So he roosts up one last time, I Paint Split one last time, and and the poison takes me out. So I go ahead and I think he's up by 1 right now, I think. So I go ahead and switch to Blissey, and he switches to Hitmontop. Thunder Wave, but it fails. He switches back to his Skarmory. I send out Gliscor. I have 3 pokes, he has 3 pokes. I knock off his leftovers, he Toxics, and at this point I'm just kind of like, damn it. So I go ahead and I Roost up, and he Roost up, and I'm hit by poison, so I go ahead and I switch out to, I think it's Bronzong. I don't know why I did this. This was a really dumb move. He whirlwinds me, and right now I'm really just trying to get an explosion on that Skarmory. And maybe it'll KO, maybe I'll get a crit, whatever. He whirlwinds me, back to Bronzong. I explode, and it did practically nothing. So that was a very big mistake. I should have kept that Bronzong. I don't know why I didn't. That was dumb. Alright, so I send out Blissey. Spikes hit me pretty hard. He Toxics. I Thunder Wave. Um, I'm I'm at a disadvantage right now. I Aromatherapy. I switch out to Gliscor. That Hitmontop's still asleep. I go ahead and I Aerial Ace, and he switches back to Skarmory. So yeah, it's kind of a little stalemate going on for the next 4 minutes. Alright, so I'm thinking of what to do. I go ahead and I Aerial Ace again because there's nothing else I can do, and there's really no point because as soon as I switch out, he's gonna go to his Hitmontop, and we're just gonna keep going in circles. So I just keep Aerial Acing, and he keeps roosting. I decide to switch out to Blissey, and he Toxics, and it misses. I go ahead and soft Ice Beam in case he switched to Hitmontop. He Toxics again. I get poisoned. I Soft Boil because as soon as if I don't Soft Boil, then when I switch in, I'll die with the spike. So he switches to Blissey. I Thunder Wave, he Seismic Tosses, and I am hit by poison. I go ahead and I Aromatherapy, and he switches back to his Hitmontop. I go ahead and I switch out to Gliscor, and he stays in. He's still asleep. I go ahead and I Aerial Ace. He switches back to Skarmory. So we're kind of at a stalemate right now. I Aerial Ace. He uses Whirlwind, brings out my Bliss, and spikes do about 100 HP damage. I go ahead and I Ice Beam, and he Toxics. And at this point, I'm just kind of wondering if he Whirlwinds me. He got Paralyzed Hacks, so I got really lucky right there. And if he would have Whirlwind me, then when I would have switched back in, I probably would have died. So he switches out to Blissey. I Ice Beam to finish him off. He's got 1 HP. He's paralyzed. That Skarmory is basically dead. So I Soft Boil up. He Seismic Tosses. I'm getting ready for another Stall Wars with this Blizz. I go ahead and I wait, do I? Well, I have Natural Cure, so I switch out instead. And he Seismic Tosses. I knock off this lefties, and he uses Healing Wish, so he kills himself to save his Skarmory. So that Skarmory is back to full health, and it's no longer paralyzed, and it's just going in a merry-go-round. Here we go again. Alright, so I'm thinking of what to do, whether or not what he's gonna do, what I'm gonna do. I go ahead and I Aerial Ace in case he switched out, but he Whirlwinds me. I get hit by spikes, and I almost get KO'd. So he's faster, and if he would have had Brave Bird, he probably would have KO'd, but he doesn't, so he switches out. And he has Hitmontop. He's asleep. I go ahead, I send out Gliscor, and he still has his Hitmontop. He stays in. I Aerial Ace. He wakes up, close combat, critical hit, and it doesn't even do like 50 damage. So I go ahead and I Aerial Ace again. He switches back to Skarmory. Critical hit does pretty much the same as that Hitmontop. I Roost up. He uses Toxic. I go ahead and I Aerial Ace again because yeah, I don't know. So I switch out to Blissey. I get hit by spikes. He Roosts up. I don't know why. Yeah, there's really nothing else he can do. He Toxics me. I Ice Beam in case he switched. I get a critical hit. I go ahead and I think I Thunder Wave. He Roosts up. I Aromatherapy. I think I Thunder Wave this turn. So he sends out his. Never mind. So I Ice Beam. He sends up Hitmontop, and I go back to Gliscor. He close combats again, and if he stays in, then he's dead. So he decides to switch out back to Skarmory, I think. And I Earthquake, and it doesn't affect Skarmory. I knock off, just in case he switched back or whatever. He uses Whirlwind. Blissey's back out. I Thunder Wave this time, and I use Ice Beam now, and he's Paralyzed Hacks. Leftovers is healing me a little bit. So I go ahead and I Ice Beam, and that Skarmory is starting to be a liability at this point, and that Hitmontop is almost dead. I Ice Beam, get another critical hit, so that's awesome. He goes to Hitmontop, and I decided to just let Blissey go, just in case he has like Ice Punch or something. I don't know. So I just let Blissey die. Get a defense drop to ensure that I KO next turn. I send out Gliscor, and I go ahead and I Earthquake. He Bullet Punches, and I thought it was super effective, but I guess not. Earthquake, critical hit,